The biggest ape that ever lived didn't roar across savannas. It moved like a quiet heavyweight through dark, wet forests. We call it Gigantopithecus, and most of what we know comes from teeth and jaw fragments pulled from cave floors. That's the puzzle. From a handful of enamel mountains, we're about to rebuild a life. What it ate, how it moved, and why it vanished. No tall tales, no movie monsters, just hard science, mud, and the shadows of a forest giant hiding in the data. Start with the hardware. Gigantopithecus teeth are massive. Thick enamel, broad chewing surfaces, and deep, heavy mandibles. These aren't slicing tools. They're grinders built to crush tough, fibrous foods. Think woody stems, hard fruits, palm nuts, and whatever the forest offered when soft fruit ran out. The jaw's heft hints at powerful chewing muscles anchoring along the cheeks. A head like a press. Bite force is hard to estimate, but the architecture screams endurance. Long chewing bouts, slow meals, steady fuel for a very big body. Where did this giant work its routine? Picture Pleistocene Southeast Asia, monsoon forests of southern China, Vietnam, and Thailand. Limestone towers rise from mist. Bamboo thickets pack the undergrowth. Vines lock tree to tree, and figs ripen in brief gold windows. The forest floor is a tangle of roots and leaf mold, slick after rain. This is a world of shadows and scent trails. Gigantopithecus likely kept to the ground here, moving between fruiting trees and dense stands of canes, feeding low and wide rather than risking the high canopy. Here's the first big reveal. In 2019, proteins recovered from Gigantopithecus enamel, no DNA, just durable proteins, placed it as a close relative of orangutans. That anchors its branch of the ape family. Not a gorilla, not a mystery hominid, a pangine giant, probably with long arms, careful movements, and a patient pace. That single breakthrough took this animal from rumor to rooted lineage. Suddenly, the teeth weren't floating data points. They had cousins, and those cousins still cling to forest edges today. So what exactly went through those molars? Micro-wear textures on the enamel, microscopic pits and scratches, point to a diet that pushed teeth hard. Fibrous plants, hard seeds, and tough fallback foods during lean seasons. Carbon isotopes in the tooth minerals say forest plants, the C3 kind, not open grassland fare. At times, dental calculus preserves plant silica fragments hinting at bamboo-like grasses. When figs exploded, Gigantopithecus likely feasted. When rains failed or fruit was scarce, it shifted to harsher fare, grinding endurance rations to stay fueled. Watch the behavior unfold. A giant hand curls around a cane, tugging it toward a jaw that can turn splinters into paste. Lips pull back, cheeks balloon with muscle. Chewing is the whole show. Slow, rhythmic, relentless. Big bodies need big calories, and the safest calories in a crowded forest are often the hard ones. Gigantopithecus wasn't in a sprint. It was in a constant quiet chew. That strategy trades speed for reliability. Less chasing, more processing. A day measured in mouthfuls, not miles. Here's the tension. Size versus trees. Could the largest ape still climb? Maybe a little, but the mass works against high acrobatics. Strong arms don't erase gravity. The forest floor, tangled but stable, likely became home turf. Long arms help pull brush aside, reach low fruit, and steady the body while feeding. Climbing small trees or leaning into saplings to bend them down is plausible. Hanging 40 feet up? Risky for a heavyweight. Survival wasn't about dazzling jumps. It was about not falling, not starving, and not wasting energy. How do we time this story? Teeth and jaws turn up in karst caves, limestone systems that trap bones in red clay. Water dripped, floods moved debris, and over thousands of years, fragments settled. Uranium-thorium dating of cave layers, paired with the tooth chemistry, frames Gigantopithecus across roughly 2 million to 300,000 years ago. It's not a one-site ghost. It's a region-wide presence, recurring in multiple caves across southern China and into Vietnam and Thailand. Long tenure, broad range, a real resident of monsoon forests. Now the payoff? Why did the forest giant fade? As climates pulsed, those dense forests shrank into patchy mosaics. Open woodlands and seasonal swings pushed fruit windows narrower and fallback foods harsher. Evidence shows Gigantopithecus leaned harder on tough, low-quality items late in its timeline. A specialist strategy met a changing map. Big bodies rise on reliable calories and fall when those calories fragment. By about 300,000 years ago, the enamel record goes quiet. No dramatic last stand. Just habitats shifting out from under a slow, hungry animal. Quick myth bust before we go further. Gigantopithecus is not Bigfoot, not a North American legend, and not a giant biped marching across snowfields. The fossils come from Southeast Asia, period. Teeth and jaws, not full skeletons. No footprints, no tools, no campfires. And while it surely could rear to full height, walking upright as a habit is unlikely. The science paints a powerful ground-based browser, not a mystery hominid lurking in modern woods. The real story is better than a campfire tale, because it's true. So what did the whole animal look like? We infer from relatives. As a pongine, it likely carried long arms, a deep jawline, and a barrel chest suited to plant processing. The shoulders and wrists would favor weight-bearing on the ground. Knuckle walking or fist walking is plausible, though we don't have the hand bones to lock it in. The head? Unknown in detail, but the chewing machine at the back tells us the face framed those giant molars. Picture an orangutan's caution scaled up for the undergrowth. Life moved slowly. Great apes invest in a few young, not many. Tooth growth lines in big apes show long developmental schedules, and Gigantopithecus likely followed that pattern. Long childhoods, long learning, and a tight reproductive pace. That pace binds an animal to stable food webs. It also makes it vulnerable when those webs snap. As a massive browser and fruit eater, it probably spread seeds in bulk, swallowing and dropping them far from the parent trees. A quiet gardener of the forest, shaping what grew next as it searched for its own meals. Did it ever meet our ancestors? In parts of Southeast Asia, early humans and their relatives were around during the same broad window. But overlap in time isn't proof of neighborhood. So far, we don't have a cave floor that says, here's a Gigantopithecus tooth, and here's a stone tool in the same fresh layer, same moment. If people and the giant ape crossed paths, the record hasn't captured the handshake. What we can say is simple. The forest was shared space, but the stories mostly run in parallel tracks. Look how far we got from a tooth. Proteins in enamel pinned the family tree. Carbon and oxygen isotopes mapped diet and climate. Microware textures sketched meals season by season. 3D scans modeled chewing forces. Cave geology set the clock. Each method adds one more thread until the silhouette steadies. A slow, strong browser tied to forests, thriving when fruit was generous and surviving by grinding when it wasn't. No single test solves it. The mosaic does. That's the power of paleontology when the bones refuse to show up. In the end, Gigantopithecus is a quiet epic. The largest ape, built for patience, undone by a forest that thinned. Not a monster, not a myth, an animal with a plan that worked until it didn't. When I picture it, I hear bamboo creak, fig skins pop, and a steady breath under green light. From caves to canopy, the data pulls a giant back into focus. If you could watch Gigantopithecus for 1 hour, what moment would you hope to see?